Long before the Duggar family became a household name through reality television, before the cameras documented their daily routines, and before the world knew the names of 19 children, there was a young man with a clear vision for his future. Jim Bob Duggar was not born into wealth. He grew up in a modest household in Springdale, Arkansas, where financial security was not a guarantee but a goal to be pursued with determination and discipline. From an early age, Jim Bob demonstrated an unusual interest in money, not merely in earning it but in understanding how it worked, how it could grow, and how it could provide freedom for a family. This interest was not superficial, it was deeply practical. He would later describe how he read books on finance, studied successful entrepreneurs, and paid close attention to the real estate market in his local area. While other teenagers were focused on sports or social activities, Jim Bob was already thinking about land, property values, and long-term investment strategies. At the age of 18, Jim Bob made a decision that would shape the rest of his life. He obtained his real estate license, becoming one of the youngest licensed agents in the state of Arkansas at that time. This was not a casual achievement. It required passing a rigorous examination, understanding complex property laws, and developing the interpersonal skills necessary to negotiate deals. For Jim Bob, this was the first step in a carefully planned financial journey. He understood that real estate was not just about buying and selling houses. It was about understanding the intrinsic value of land, the potential for appreciation, and the power of leverage when used wisely. He began attending property auctions, studying foreclosure lists, and networking with other investors. He learned to identify undervalued properties that others overlooked, seeing potential where others saw only decay or obsolescence. This skill would become the cornerstone of his financial empire. The decision to pursue real estate was also influenced by Jim Bob's deeply held personal beliefs. He was and remains a man of strong faith, and his financial philosophy was always intertwined with his worldview. He believed that financial independence was a form of stewardship, allowing him to provide for his family without relying on external institutions or government assistance. This perspective drove him to avoid debt at all costs. In interviews, he often spoke about the dangers of credit cards, mortgages, and loans, arguing that interest payments were a form of financial slavery. Instead, he advocated for a cash-based system where every purchase was made with money that had already been earned. This principle guided his real estate investments. When he bought a property, he did so with cash whenever possible, negotiating from a position of strength and avoiding the complications of bank financing. This approach not only saved him money on interest but also allowed him to move quickly on opportunities, closing deals faster than competitors who had to wait for loan approvals. Jim Bob's early investments were small but strategic. He would buy a modest house in a working-class neighborhood, renovate it with his own hands, and then rent it out or sell it for a profit. He learned every aspect of the business, from plumbing and electrical work to roofing and landscaping. He developed a reputation for being fair but firm in his negotiations, and he built relationships with contractors, real estate agents, and bankers that would serve him well for decades. Profits from these early deals were not spent on luxuries or frivolous expenses. Instead, they were reinvested into new properties, creating a cycle of growth that would eventually transform a small real estate side business into a full-fledged enterprise. During this period, Jim Bob also met and married Michelle Ruark, a young woman who shared his vision for a large family and a financially independent life. Together, they formed a partnership that would prove to be remarkably effective. Michelle was not merely a supportive spouse. She was actively involved in the family's financial decisions, learning the real estate business alongside her husband and contributing to their shared goals. They would later describe how they lived frugally during the early years of their marriage, driving used cars, shopping at thrift stores, and cooking meals at home rather than eating out. Every dollar saved was a dollar that could be invested in their future. As the Duggar family grew, so did their real estate holdings. By the time they had their third child, Jim Bob had already acquired several rental properties, each generating a steady stream of passive income. These rentals were not glamorous. They were often modest homes in average neighborhoods, but they were reliable. The rent payments covered property taxes, maintenance costs, and still provided a healthy profit margin. Jim Bob managed these properties himself, handling repairs and tenant issues personally. This hands-on approach saved money and allowed him to maintain high standards for his properties, attracting reliable tenants and minimizing vacancies. Over time, he began to diversify his holdings, acquiring commercial properties such as small office buildings and retail spaces. Commercial real estate offered higher rental yields and longer lease terms, providing even greater financial stability. One of the key factors in Jim Bob's success was his deep knowledge of the local market. He had grown up in Springdale and knew every neighborhood, every street, and every property that came up for sale. He understood which areas were appreciating in value, which schools were attracting young families, and which developments were likely to boost property prices. This local expertise gave him a significant advantage over out-of-town investors who lacked his intimate understanding of the market. He was also patient, willing to hold on to properties for years or even decades, waiting for the right moment to sell. This long-term perspective allowed him to weather market fluctuations and emerge stronger after downturns. Jim Bob also developed a network of like-minded investors who would alert him to opportunities and sometimes partner with him on larger deals. He was known for his integrity and reliability, qualities that made him a trusted partner in the local business community. When he said he would close on a property by a certain date, he did so without fail. When he promised to make a repair or improvement, he followed through. This reputation opened doors that might otherwise have remained closed, giving him access to deals that others could not secure. By the time the Duggar family had grown to 10 children, Jim Bob's real estate portfolio had expanded significantly. He owned dozens of single-family homes, several apartment buildings, and a growing number of commercial properties. The income from these properties was substantial, far exceeding what most people earned from a traditional job. Yet Jim Bob continued to live modestly, driving an older vehicle and wearing simple clothing. His focus was not on consumption but on accumulation and investment. He viewed money as a tool to be used for the benefit of his family and community, not as an end in itself. The family's financial philosophy extended to every aspect of their lives. They grew their own vegetables, raised chickens for eggs, and learned to preserve food through canning and freezing. They avoided restaurants, vacations, and other expenses that they considered unnecessary. Every family member contributed to the household's well-being, learning skills that would serve them in adulthood. Jim Bob and Michelle taught their children about money from a young age, encouraging them to save, invest, and avoid debt. This education was practical and hands-on, with older children participating in family business activities and learning the principles of real estate and entrepreneurship. When the Duggar family first appeared on television in a 2004 documentary special, few could have predicted the cultural phenomenon that would follow. The special, titled 14 Children and Pregnant Again, introduced viewers to a family that seemed to belong to a different era. The Duggars' lifestyle was unusual by modern American standards. A large family living modestly, with the children dressed in matching outfits and the household run according to strict schedules and religious principles. The documentary was a hit, and it led to a series of subsequent specials and eventually a full-fledged reality show, 19 Kids and Counting, which aired on TLC from 2008 to 2015. The show brought the Duggar family unprecedented fame and, with it, significant income. While the exact amounts of their television contracts were not publicly disclosed, industry experts estimated that the family could have earned tens of millions of dollars over the course of the show's run. The show was a ratings success, drawing millions of viewers and generating substantial advertising revenue for TLC. The Duggars were also able to monetize their fame through other avenues, including book deals, speaking engagements, and merchandise sales. They published several books, including a memoir and a parenting guide, which sold well and added to their income. However, television income was not the foundation of Jim Bob Duggar's wealth. He understood that fame is fleeting and that the show could be canceled at any time. Therefore, he continued to invest aggressively in real estate throughout the television years, using the income from the show to expand his portfolio further. Television contracts provided a powerful infusion of capital that allowed him to make larger and more ambitious real estate acquisitions. He bought commercial properties, undeveloped land, and even entire buildings that he could renovate and rent out. Profits from these investments were reinvested, creating a compounding effect that significantly accelerated the growth of his wealth. The television show also had an indirect impact on Jim Bob's real estate business. The Duggar family name became widely recognized, and this recognition sometimes opened doors in the business world. Property sellers might be more willing to negotiate with someone they had seen on television, and potential tenants might be drawn to properties owned by a famous family. The show also provided a platform for Jim Bob to share his financial philosophy with a broader audience, potentially inspiring others to adopt similar strategies. Many viewers were fascinated by the Duggars' debt-free lifestyle and their ability to provide for such a large family without relying on credit. This public interest translated into increased attention to Jim Bob's real estate business, adding another layer to his financial success. Despite the fame and the fortune, the Duggar family maintained their modest lifestyle. The family home in Springdale was large by necessity, but it was not ostentatious. It lacked the luxury features that one might expect from a wealthy family. The Duggars continued to shop at garage sales, cook their meals at home, and adhere to their principles of frugality. This consistency was not merely for show, it was a reflection of their deeply held beliefs about money and its role in life. Jim Bob often stated that he did not want his children to be defined by their wealth but by their character and faith. This perspective shaped the family's approach to business and life, creating a culture of hard work, responsibility, and financial discipline. The success of Jim Bob Duggar's financial empire can be attributed to several specific strategies that he developed and refined over the course of his career. Understanding these strategies provides insight into how a person with modest beginnings can build substantial wealth through real estate investment. The first and perhaps most important strategy was the focus on acquiring property below market value. Jim Bob did not simply buy any property that came up for sale. He looked for distressed properties, foreclosures, and homes that required significant renovation. These properties were often priced well below their potential value, providing a built-in profit margin from the moment of purchase. He would then invest time and labor into fixing up these properties, transforming them into desirable homes that could be rented or sold at a premium. This strategy required a willingness to do the work himself. Jim Bob was not afraid to get his hands dirty. He learned the trades necessary for home renovation and often worked alongside his older sons as they grew older. Another key strategy was diversification. Jim Bob never relied on a single property or type of property. He owned single-family homes, multifamily units, commercial buildings, and undeveloped land. This diversification reduced his risk, as problems in one sector of the real estate market could be offset by gains in another. If the rental market was weak, he might focus on flipping properties. Commercial vacancies were high, he could rely on residential rental income. This balanced approach provided stability and resilience, allowing the family business to weather market fluctuations without significant disruption. Jim Bob also used his real estate holdings as a source of leverage for future investments. By keeping his properties well maintained and generating positive cash flow, he was able to borrow against them to acquire new properties. While he generally avoided debt, he recognized the value of using debt strategically to accelerate growth. He was careful to borrow only what he could comfortably repay, keeping his debt-to-equity ratio low and maintaining a substantial cushion for unexpected expenses. This conservative approach to leverage protected the family business from the kind of overextension that has doomed many real estate investors. In addition to these financial strategies, Jim Bob emphasized the importance of education and continuous learning. He and Michelle invested considerable time and resources in their children's education, albeit in a non-traditional format. The Duggar children were homeschooled, and their education included practical instruction in business, finance, and real estate. They learned how to manage rental properties, negotiate deals, and handle tenant disputes. They developed skills in bookkeeping, property management, and contracting. This education was tailored to the family's business needs, ensuring that the next generation was prepared to carry on the work. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Duggar family's financial success is the way that it has been passed down to the next generation. Jim Bob Duggar's children have not simply inherited his wealth, they have actively built upon it, creating their own careers and businesses within the family ecosystem. Many of the adult Duggar children are now licensed real estate agents, contractors, or property managers, contributing to the family's collective financial strength while also pursuing their own independent paths. This model of family entrepreneurship is rare in modern America, where children often choose careers unrelated to their parents' work. Joseph Duggar, the eighth child of Jim, Bob, and Michelle, is a notable example of this continuity. He became a licensed real estate broker and has been actively involved in the family's real estate business. He and his wife, Kendra, have managed rental properties together, with Kendra reportedly handling the administrative and financial aspects of the business while Joseph focused on acquisition and renovation. This division of labor has been effective, allowing the couple to operate multiple properties while raising their own children. Joseph has also participated in larger real estate deals alongside his father, gaining experience and building his own portfolio in the process. Jeremiah Duggar, another son, is also a licensed real estate agent. He has been involved in the family's property transactions and has developed a reputation as a skilled negotiator. His work has included both residential and commercial properties, demonstrating the breadth of his expertise. Like his siblings, Jeremiah has embraced the family's philosophy of hard work and financial discipline, building his career on the foundation laid by his parents. Beyond real estate, several Duggar children have pursued careers in construction and contracting. Jason Duggar owns Build Master Construction, a company that has employed other family members and completed numerous renovation projects. This construction business serves as a natural complement to the family's real estate activities, providing in-house contracting services that reduce costs and ensure quality control. When the family buys a fixer-upper property, they have the expertise to renovate it themselves, maximizing their profit margins. Austin Forsyth, who is married to Joanna Duggar, is another contractor within the family network. He has worked on numerous real estate projects, often collaborating with Jason and other family members. This collaborative approach allows the family to pool their resources and expertise, tackling larger and more ambitious projects than any single individual could handle alone. It also reinforces the family bonds, with business and family life intertwined in a way that is both practical and meaningful. Jedediah Duggar, the ninth child, has taken over the management of the family's used car business, Champion Motor Cars. This business has been a consistent source of income for the Duggars for many years, and Jedediah has worked to modernize its operations and expand its inventory. Car business operates independently of the real estate side of the family empire but benefits from the same principles of hard work, customer service, and financial discipline. By maintaining a large inventory and offering competitive pricing, Champion Motor Cars has built a loyal customer base and generated steady profits. The involvement of the Duggar children in the family business is not merely an economic strategy, it is also a cultural one. Jim, Bob, and Michelle have emphasized the importance of family unity and shared purpose, and the family business is a tangible expression of these values. Children have grown up working alongside their parents and siblings, learning the value of cooperation and collective effort. This upbringing has prepared them not only for business success but also for the challenges of life, instilling in them a strong work ethic and a sense of responsibility. Over the years, Jim Bob Duggar's real estate portfolio has included some notable properties and landmark transactions that have significantly boosted the family's net worth. One of the most prominent deals involved the sale of a renovated mansion in 2020. Jim, Bob, and Michelle had purchased and restored a 10,000-square-foot property, investing substantial time and resources into its renovation. When they sold it, they received $1.53 million, a testament to their skill in transforming undervalued properties into high-value assets. This